And without any further ado, please join me in welcoming to the stage, under the direction of Mr. Joshua Morrison, the King George High School Jazz Ensemble.
So much. That was That Dare by Bonnie Timmons. Kind of a slow, cool jazz. Ready to start on Hunter Fuchs on alto saxophone. So give it up to him. This is us really trying to do a few different styles. The second style is probably the the piece I'm glad I picked the most. We're going to take you a little bit back in time, and we're going to take you back to a traditional New Orleans chart. So close your eyes, you're in the streets of New Orleans, and this is the band you hear. They're just walking down whatever Center Street. So, in order to make this more authentic, we're going to bring out Anna Opplinger on the sousaphone. Please give her a round of applause. Her on the sousaphone, our double bass player, Hunter again, Canyon again, and then Katie on the clarinet. So I hope you enjoy Mudbug Strut. for you. Our second to last piece is Blue Monk, a typical jazz, traditional jazz track by Thelonious Monk. And everyone's gonna take a solo. So we're gonna play, it's pretty much a 12-bar blues. It's what we warm up in, warm up to every day in class. We'll play it through 2 times. Everyone's gonna take a solo, and then we'll play it through again 2 more times, and that will be the end. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. This is Blue Monk by Thelonious Monk. All right, this next piece, our last jazz ensemble piece, I was kind of talked into playing by the students. We had played it in the marching band at the stand tune, but there's also a jazz band of it. So here we are. We're going to play one more chart for you. But a little bit about this class and why I love it so much. They're all fantastic. Some of them are taking second and third band classes, which is absolutely unheard of. Like, you would want to carve out 3/4 of their schedule just to be in music. So they're here. They're here for jazz. They love it. Every day we warm up. Every day everyone solos. So they go outside of their box. They break outside of their box just a little bit each and every day. They transcribe. They listen to stuff by ear and they have to write it down by hand. Something I didn't even learn until college. So they're really good kids. And then we went to the first ever, well, what I know is the first ever jazz voda in Virginia, and they got a superior. So I told them we're gonna go. You're gonna get a day off school, and we're just gonna play jazz music, and we have no expectations. It turns out there were 4 other bands playing similar music to us. They were awesome. All right. Our last piece, before I go to our last piece, we have the Louis Armstrong Award, which goes to the just a fabulous musician, fabulous jazz musician. This student is beyond terrific. They've been in jazz for at least 2 or 3 years. Yeah, just really great. Has a fantastic voice. Every time they play, they're playing from their soul. There's not much instruction on my part. I'm just giving them feedback, and they just take it and run with it. Really, just one of the many heartbeats of the music program, and we're gonna really miss them on trombone. That's Candy. So this last piece is Tank from the TV series Cowboy Bebop. It also has solos featuring Hunter on saxophone again, and Katie on clarinet again. Yeah, let's get to it.
right, now please join me in welcoming to the stage under the direction of Mr. Joshua Morrison, the King George High School Concert Band.
Thank you so much. That was Midway March by John Williams. Not from the 2019 movie, but from the 1976 movie Midway by the same title. There's a theme for today. I said, screw it, let's play as many movie songs as possible. Let the kids have as much fun as possible. So I hope that's coming across. Our next two pieces are both led by student conductors. They were selected, they applied for this position. Independent study, which I'm basically modeling my graduate conducting study course on this. There's two student conductors. They both selected their own pieces, and they're both going to come up here and conduct their own pieces. We work on playing with the ensemble, conducting, score study. They have a project to do this Tuesday. So they're really fantastic. So they both selected these movie songs, one's a movie, one's a musical. And the next up will be Canyon Ingle, conducting Lord of the Rings. And then now it is time for our last selection of the concert band portion. But first, I have some talking to do, which is my favorite. So, first off, give it up for Penny again. That was great. I would like to do some recognizing for a few students who really achieved a lot this year and really practiced extremely hard, and they deserve the very best. So if you, please stand if you participated in all districts. That should be Oscar Reed, Wyatt Vogel, Devin Archer, Mariana, and Sean. Please stand up. These students they auditioned with the best players in Virginia in our district, and they all were able to participate in all district, which we hosted this year. Among those 5 students, 2 students in particular I want to talk about. Mariano and Deb both competed and earned a spot to audition at the all-state level. So give it up for Mariano and Deb. That alone is a momentous achievement. I always tell the kids, I never got an all-state audition, so they're doing better than I'm doing. All-state was canceled this year, the audition, so unfortunately they had to go through a rather finicky online audition. But out of those auditions, Devin Archer made the all-state band, and he was one of 20 or so 36 clarinets, top clarinets in Virginia. So please give it up for him. And if he didn't have enough on his plate while playing the piano for the musical, he went to Richmond for 3 days, learned a bunch of music, and enjoyed a wonderful all-state band in Richmond. So give it up for him. All right, last piece, hope you recognize it. It will be Star Wars. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry, 2 more pieces. I am so sorry. Chicago, please welcome Emily Trubich to the stage. Chicago. One more time for Emily. That was great. Now our final piece of the concert program. No set change in between this and ensemble. Thank you so much for being here. Please enjoy Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
All right, and finally, please join me in welcoming to the stage under the direction of Mr. Joshua Morrison, the King George High School Wind Ensemble.
Thank you so much. That was Raiders March, also by Dynamo. See the theme here. Yeah, so this is the Wind Ensemble. They rehearse every day for the spring semester, and a lot of them are in really high-level classes. They're taking incredible amounts of APs and all that kind of stuff. So they're really, really good kids. I always say, I wouldn't be a teacher if I was a band director. And these kids are great, and that's why I come to school every day. So thank you for that. This is the one piece where we will go away from the movie theme, and we will play something a little bit different. We'll take you back all the way to 1749, when Bach came out with his The Art of the Fugue, double fugue. A little bit interesting about this piece. It's called Contrapunctus 9. It's written by John Sebastian Bach. It's Baroque music. It's very, very different. One group you're going to hear one group start with the melody, and then you're going to hear a second group play the same melody. And while that second group is playing the same melody, the first group is going to be playing something opposite underneath the melody that just came in. It was originally written for a piano player. 2 hands, 1 piano player, and somebody transcribed it for wind ensemble. So the difficulties about playing something like this is we are a band, and we are not a piano. So I told the kids, there's a lot of things that you're used to doing, playing band music, that we cannot do with this piece. So please enjoy Punch Punk This Night. All right, thank you so much. Because I didn't talk between those two pieces, I've talked between this piece a lot. So first off, a few awards to give out. There are several people to thank, several great students. These students just are very, very exceptional, and we will miss them greatly from the band program. The first four are seniors who have been here for 3 years under me, and 1 year additional to that. First is Katie Poley. Katie Poley is great. Katie Poley is a wonderful example of a hardworking, determination, and student leader who has drive. Every football game, she was there almost later than I was, in the uniform storage closet, just fixing stuff, and she's great. So first award goes to Katie Poley. Second student, not only a fantastic human being, a hard worker, he was the epitome of leadership and hard work and determination the last 3 years I've been here. He's always put himself above others. He's always helped out. He's always stood firm in his commitments. And we'll miss him next year. The second student, please welcome Jeffrey Cobb. All right, third student, she is fantastic. She is a hard worker. All these students are hard workers. It's hard. This is the worst part of my job. All these kids are great. This is a great community, great band program. This particular student is also consistent, also dependable, also done everything I've ever asked them to do after they've asked me questions about it. It was confusing. Just a leader, an example for others, Isabel Weaver. And then last, before our last selection, this student is also great. She took a huge leadership role this past season and really came into her own. I always say that the band is a student-led band, not a team-led band, and I always really try to let them take charge and let them do things and turn the band into what they want. This individual really did that. She's great. Please welcome Emily Trowbridge. All right, one more piece, and then a few other awards. I'm going to bring Mr. Trowbridge up here to hand out a few scholarships, and then we'll be on your way. So please enjoy the last piece the wind ensemble will play, which is the piece that they selected to play at graduation. So you'll be able to hear this in a few days' time. The Incredibles. Just kidding, let me talk for a little longer. we have fantastic administrators here. I could not thank them enough. If any of the following are here in the building, please stand up and be recognized. Mr. Mark Watson, Ms. Latney Allen, Mr. Ritchie, Ms. Ware, Ms. Zambrini, Ms. Truslow, Danny Mack, Beth Tinsley, Katrina Wines, fantastic staff. The Band Parents Association, I could not do it without them. I've been with, I say this every time, I've been with bad band parents, I've been with good band parents. These are good band parents. So John Trowbridge, Nick Markle, Lindsay Raven, Teresa Trowbridge, Lisa Hurdle, Becky Emery, and then lastly, the three people in the back, three people in the back, Mr. Cheatham, Ms. Connor, Ms. Clark. They make this job enjoyable, very enjoyable. And then any other staff or students, not staff or students, any other teachers or school board members or staff here. Please all stand up. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting us. All right, one more piece. The Incredibles. Let's leave the last piece. Let's bring Mr. Trowbridge up right now. Let's hand out the rest of these awards.
Hey, good evening, everybody. All right, so as Mr. Morrison said, so I'm John Trowbridge, I'm the Band Parents Association president, right? So all the emails that you were inundated with, everything on Facebook, everything on the website, right? So we're big on communication, so I'm the one who fills up your inbox, I'm sorry for that. We want to make sure that anything and everything from the association, from Mr. Morrison, gets out to all the parents, right? So that there's nobody left wondering, why didn't I do this? So to put a face to a name, right, so you have Lindsay Raven, she's our treasurer, Nikki Markel, who is the vice president, Teresa Trowbridge is the assistant treasurer, Lisa Hurdle, and Becky Emery are our secretaries. So they do a great job all year. So if you didn't know what we support, right, so we do anything from food, repairs to instruments, new purchases, senior gifts, marching band props, new wraps for the trailer, right, really anything the kids need. So all the money that we get in throughout the year, it goes directly back to we don't use it for anything other than what benefits all of the kids up here, all the kids that are out in the audience right now, and the ones that are marching band that aren't here, right? So we do that through fundraising. You see a lot of organizations that fundraise through magazines, through meat sticks, right? So Lisa, I think, remembers the horror of selling meat sticks out of the back of her van, right? So she's still not able to come within 500 feet of an elementary school. So we partnered with the Fredericksburg Nationals. The reason we did this is so that everybody here didn't have to go door to door and sell candy bars. So the first year we did 2 years ago, we worked the first base Carolina Street Grill. We made $12,000 that year, right? So we get 10% of the stand sales plus all tips. Last year we made $8,000, and this year we're already over $5,000. And what we're bringing in, right? So all that goes back to feeding the marching band kids when they are, spending $1,000 on subs or food when they're, stuck on a bus in the middle of nowhere at a band competition. All the props that you see, right? We work with Mr. Morrison to purchase everything right out of our fund. And again, any transportation cost, anything that the band needs, it goes directly back to them. So I'm really excited about tonight because this is the first time that, as far as I know, right, that the Band Parents Association has ever done something like this. So we've been working really hard last year to start a scholarship program, right? So this all comes out of the money that's in your band account, that's in your student's band account that does not get willed after they graduate. So if you don't say, hey, look, I want this money to go to X person who's a freshman or sophomore, want to go to that family, that's not made known to our treasurer, that money goes into a scholarship account. In addition to that, after our budget comes out and we finalize the budget, whatever's left goes into a scholarship fund. So this year we were excited. We're able to actually give $2,500 in scholarships this year. So we had the voting panel, which consists of the band directors and then one board member. So without further ado, and shameless plug for the Nats, we still need volunteers for the games. So just go on to Sign Up Genius, it's on the website. Link is on there, please sign up. We need 2 more people for this Sunday. So these individuals have earned a $500 scholarship each. And for the families of these students, these amazing kids, I'll reach out to you individually to let you know how it can be claimed. So this can be used for any post-secondary education. So it doesn't have to go to college or university. Trade schools, if they do any kind of certifications. So this can be used for anything, right? So it'll be paid straight to the institution, right? So we're not giving a $500 check to a kid to go spend it. First one. Let's give it up for Jeffrey Cobb. All right, next one. Please help me congratulate Canyon Engel. Next one, Miranda Griffith. And the fourth of 5, Katie Poley. And last but not least, Emily Trowbridge. All right, so there's a lot of applicants this year, so we congratulate the 5 awardees. There was a huge essay that they had to do, go through voting panels, right? So a lot of work by them. So we look forward to increasing this amount, increasing scholarships every year, keeping this going every year. Just less money that we got to pay to institutions after high school. So please give it up again for the 5 awardees.
All right, and now, if I call your name, please make a line up on the lip and see Ms. Connor and Mr. Cheatham. Cameron Balderson. Claire Collins. Riley Crabby. Miranda Griffith. Emily Myrtle. Cody Leisure. David O'Mine. Elena Lord. Isabel Weaver. Sean Williams. Skylar Winfrey. Elizabeth Wickler. Emily Trowbridge. Armando Rodriguez Delgado. Ava Hoffman. One big round of applause for all the seniors. All right, 2 more awards, and then I promise we'll play music. Okay. Last 2 awards. The first award is the Patrick S. Gilmore Award. This goes to a student for outstanding achievement and commitment to marching band and concert band in all of the above. This student has done it all. From marching band to jazz band, student conductor to marching band leadership. The way they carry themselves on a daily basis is extraordinary. I'm blown away this student's maturity level and his ability to carry himself as a professional on and off wherever he goes. When I talk about a student leader, this is a student that this is the leader that you want. He's infectious. His behavior, whatever he does, people follow. It's quite extraordinary. So please give it up to Canyon. And last but not least, the John Philip Sousa Award. John Philip Sousa is known for 2 things, most known for 2 things. 1, he was a master at writing marches, and 2, he was the longest, I think the longest leader of the Marine Band. His award goes to this next student who's also extraordinary. All these students are extraordinary, but this student in particular. Also has done it all, from marching band to jazz band to student leadership to student conductor. This student's extraordinary. These students, I will miss them greatly. They're the first, not the first, they're a group of students who I will miss in this band program. Please give it up for Miranda Good. After the concert, the reading of the wills from the singers. Now please enjoy music from the Incredibles.